city of Reading as a place to live, work, and play. The Madison building is has a great deal of potential. As our architect said early on in the project, the building has good bones. There's a lot of potential for it. I'd like you to turn to the page labeled page 6 of the presentation, which shows some photographs and elevations. And what this shows are various views of the building, including the surrounding downtown Reading area, the atrium, the prime location for commercial, and the beautiful lobby that will be restored to its former glory with the Art Deco features. And this is what it can, this is all that it can be. It has a lot of potential with some interior renovation, which is what is being considered. To give you some background as to where we are procedurally with the city, the Zoning Hearing Board held a hearing on an application for special exception on July 8th for the adaptive reuse. Madison 2020 is seeking a waiver of the requirement that off-site spaces be no more than 300 feet from the building. There are 49 off-street spaces on the Madison lot, and that will accommodate some of the parking requirement for the proposed 85 apartments. However, there will be an additional requirement of parking. As you can see that there is parking available on the site, and that will accommodate all required handicapped parking as well as some of the on-site parking. The zoning ordinance allows parking to be on another lot or in a parking area garage, and located 425 feet from the building is the Shirelli garage, which is underutilized by the city. And Madison 2020 is close to an agreement with the Reading Parking Authority for the 79 spaces, which would allow the project to meet the requirements with a combination of on and off-site spaces. No variance is required under the city zoning ordinance in the central core central business district of the city. That can be handled in adaptive reuse with the special exception. So it's being determined on a special exception standard and not as a variance. With the parking and with those 500 and with those spaces in Shirelli, realize that the parking is already a part of the city's traffic plan. It's not the redevelopment of this building is not adding anything that hasn't already been planned for. The zoning hearing board is expected to render its decision at its August hearing date, which I believe is August 12th. So we're awaiting the decision. The project, before I introduce Mr. Hassenfeld to tell you more detail, the project is a remediation and restoration. The work is all interior work. It is not changing the footprint or the facade. There are no changes in lot lines. There's no annexation. There's no land development activity in the usual sense. We would like to receive recommendations this evening and really have the zoning hearing board. If we have the special exception approval, we could incorporate the planning commission's recommendations and any zoning hearing board conditions on the special exception, provided it's granted, and submit a preliminary / final plan in August for recommendation to City Council for plan approval. And that is what we're hoping for by this discussion tonight, that we can come back next month, that we can discuss any aspects to the plan, any changes to the plan that you want to see, any features that you need to see, incorporate the zoning hearing board's conditions, and then come back for the approval of the preliminary / final plan with the need to go through Act 537 planning with Public Works, which we are already planning to do and which we will discuss in detail with our engineers and have that submission ready. This is a good local project. It is using local professionals, myself, Stackhouse Bensinger Engineering. We're intending to use local contractors. Could really be this mixed use adaptive reuse could be a great benefit to the city of Reading and to the downtown revitalization and a complement to the College Town project. So we hope you'll consider it. And with that, I will introduce David Hassenfeld.
Hello. I don't know, I can't really see, I don't know where my screen is, but.
We can see you okay.
Yes. Okay, I'm David Hassenfeld. I'm the new owner of the Madison. I have taken upon this project because I see the potential in this, and in essence, really, we're not looking to change the Madison to something new, but to something that will actually, I believe, bring out the best potential of this property and become that gem for downtown Reading, which I believe is a benefit to the surrounding area as well to the building itself. If there is anything that, Joan, is there something that question answers, or do you want me to just talk away? Joan?
Unmute me, Joan.
Okay. I'd like you to tell the Planning Commission more about how you intend to develop the building as far as its commercial use and its residential use, and what will be the target market for the apartments. And I'd also like you to discuss the uses for the atrium and of course the parking.
Okay, can you take the share screen off? Is there any way they can take it off the, oh, there we go. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, so basically what we had intended when we were this property was brought to my desk by Allison, actually. We thought this would be a great addition to our portfolio in the sense of this will actually, there is so much opportunity here. We can actually mold it to what we wanted to what we believed our best, what we're good at, and we can actually put it to use here in a very beautiful way, in a very beautiful manner. When we walked in there, I was super impressed with the facade, the architecture, the thought that went into this building. You know, as I'll say, they don't make this kind of stuff anymore. You really find there's the design, the intricate design of the lower floors, the outside where they use the base, the body and the crown of the building. You see the limestone, the brick, again, the limestone. Again, there's thought that went into this process of the way they built this building. And this was a design that had obviously outlived itself and preserved itself beautifully over the years. And it's even going through the down market where the place has practically been vacated, the bones of the building stayed strong. The roof is in perfect condition. The walls, the pillars, the everything from the basement all the way to the tippy top of that place, the top of the roof, we found it to be in superb condition. Again, we do know that was because of the government that was occupying the most of the space there. They had minimum requirements for management to keep up those standards. But what it did turn to us was a building that has an upgraded electrical system, the generators, the elevators, the roofing system, and the actual bones and body and the engineering of this building were preserved to 100%, I would say, from when it was built in 1927. They did go through certain renovations over the years. I do know that we have plans on our desk from 1927, but we also have plans that were done in 1983. Again, in 1990s, we have some that were done in 2003. There were stuff that were done to this building thoughtfully, also in a way to preserve the integrity of the building. If we were to start, let's say, with the lobby, which I saw first and fell in love with, was actually a bunch of cubicles that were set up in that lobby because they were trying to maximize space for some kind of renter. But you were able to see how when they put up their cubicles, there was no effect whatsoever to the marble. They made sure not to touch the marble, not to touch any of the design of the lobby. It was kept in perfect shape. There were issues, again, the carpet that was put down, they used glue over the original marble, which we're trying now to restore to its original style. And if not, obviously we're gonna have to replace that. But the idea is to bring back, there again, being that they haven't touched so much in the lobby, it would be a pretty easy fix to just go in there, polish it up, bring it back to its glory. What we want to do though in the rest of the building is that has sadly become a typical commercial space that literally stripped the building of any personality. What we want to do is simply take it down to the bones and bring it back to a thoughtful plan where we can mix the futuristic kind of style with the past and blend it with a designer that we brought in from actually Lakewood, which happens to be a European American designer. She has done a lot of our projects as well. She has that European flair, which can bring that old and new together and make that and bring the Madison into what I really envision to a combination of the past and the future and the present. The idea here is, again, although it's not so much design, of course, of what it can do, we found that with the 11-foot ceilings, 12-foot ceilings in some cases, there's a lot of potential to move, to do things with this property, to make it into a mixed use, which would be in the lower levels, the commercial, which actually is supposed to, we're looking to possibly incorporate 2 retail places along with some commercial space in the back. But also the units itself going up to the higher floors have the potential to a real beautiful, spacious, not only in footprint, which Lee Olson has been working together with CW Designs to maximize the space, but they've actually been able to give us larger units in the footprint, but also in the height that we almost do not find in any of these buildings, or when you're actually in the newer buildings, the newer construction today, you don't have that space to work with. So we were really lucky in the end of having this thing, which is so beautifully preserved, but also the space and the playroom that we have to maximize that. So as Joan has discussed earlier, we're planning on putting in the lower levels the retail with the commercial space, the atrium, which is that area that joins between the 2 buildings. They have enclosed with a glass roof and walls, which were with that weird design they put in there, which was actually meant to complement the difference in grade between the atrium, between the actual tower and the annex. They made us, the design that they have there, which we found would actually be perfect for what we're looking to incorporate there, which would be like a cafe nook, reading nook, or a place where professors, people from across the street, or the young professionals could come have a coffee, find a little corner they can sit down and, just browse their Wi-Fi and whatever they want to do in order to relax. We actually have not too much higher than that. On the 5th floor of the annex, we have a roof which is almost the size of the actual building itself. Lee had worked together with Orlando to uncover a way where we can have a public stairway going up to the roof to incorporate that into our live, work, and play design, which was a beautiful pavilion we would like to open up on that roof. It's almost 6,000 square feet plus. There were another enclosure we have to actually make just to connect the actual stairs from the other side of the annex to work as 2 set of stairs. But right now that's the idea of where we wanted to have another open space. We have in the 1st floor, being that we cannot, the 2nd floor on top of the annex cannot be entirely residential. We found another 2 areas where we can have space to add a passive common area and an active common area, which would also give people an area to have a pool table, relax, kind of just chill in the middle of the night, come down for a drink and just shoot some pool. And that was the side of the annex. Going on to the tower, It was really just maximizing the space we had there. We were able to put in approximately 55, I think, was it, units? Correct me if I'm wrong. The mix of 1 and 2 bedrooms, basically boilerplate on the first floor on top of the lobby would be your footprint for the same, going all the way up to the top of the tower with the same footprint of the same amount of units, same unit mix of 1 and 2 bedrooms. Being that we have the stairs again on both sides of the tower, that gave us the any issues with code that we would have had all taken care of as well. We did have an interesting issue that we've been working on for a few weeks now, that we were thinking of how to get, being that this is a luxury building, how do we get the garbage from the top floor and from the top floor of the tower, top floor of the annex into the trash area. We were thinking of drilling, coring the building and cutting, diamond cutting, straight shoot down, but every time we brought it in, you know, we came up with an idea, we kept on hitting something else on the bottom floor, the second floor, the third floor, and we came up with this very smart idea, thanks to Allison. We actually have in the tower, there were, back in the day, 3 elevators servicing that building. We had one middle elevator, which connected the basement to the top floor, and there were 2 side elevators on either side of that serviced the main floor to the top floor. That middle elevator, my understanding, was taken out of commission over 40-something years ago. It's been locked in on the 14th floor, and the space has never been utilized. So we decided to bring that elevator down, take it apart, use the elements that we can find in that original elevator, and incorporate it into one of the elevators that we have right now to bring back that old design of the original brass design, and then take that area and create a chute that would service the entire building from the top floor all the way down into the basement, which happens to end up right next to the parking lot, which we're there be able to have your 2-yarders that would be serviced and taken out from the basement with via lift into the parking lot. So basically, we found that almost every issue that we really came across, the space that we had and the height of the floors, the upgraded electrical with the stacks servicing the current system, the plumbing system, has almost been there, almost perfect for what we needed to be. There's almost nothing that we found to be in our way, quote unquote, of doing and maximizing what we envisioned the first day I walked in there, now almost 2 months later. But that's about done with my presentation. I didn't really present, I didn't have anything prepared more than that. I did have the issue with the parking. I want to clarify, we did actually sign an agreement with the RPA as of yesterday. We're just waiting for the countersign, but via emails, we're basically going to confirm the agreement with the Reading Parking Authority on the Chiarelli garage. There was that variance they were looking for the extra 125 feet that we had the discrepancy of the 300 versus the 425, but that I understand is in the works already. I don't know if it's with this board or with the zoning hearing board.
It is with the zoning hearing board.
Okay, zoning hearing board. And then basically, I think that was the only serious outstanding issue that we had. Other than that, it was all just improving, bringing back the glory of this building and adapting the use to a new, I think, improved version of what the Madison was meant to be. Obviously, there's nobody to ask from who was originally designed this building, but I believe that they would have been very happy to see the change to this building in this positive way. There is also the outside issues that we have that we wanted to address. There was the parking lot, the little park area that looks like someone had some kind of attempt to make it interesting, but has been neglected over the years. We want to bring that back. Do the parking lot, pick up the facelift of the parking lot, the surrounding area, the bushes, the trees, just to make the place look a little more updated, clean, and presentable. But other than that, really, there's everything here is literally set in stone. There's streets on all 4 sides. There's a parking lot we can't really work with. There's not really much you can do besides for just improving what we have there and playing around on the inside of the building.
I'd just like to emphasize a couple of things regarding this proposed adaptive reuse. The adaptive reuse itself is the special exception that is in front of the zoning hearing board, with the parking being addressed as part of that special exception. And Allison, you can chime in if you need to, since you have addressed some of the marketing issues internally. These are market rate apartments. There will be no studio apartments. There will be no efficiency apartments. All are 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. The target market is intended to be young professionals working in the Center City and Greater Reading areas. In addition to the Alvernia College Town that is coming to Reading, there's also a new medical school set to open next year with Drexel University. There are also other local colleges. The courthouse is close by, law offices are close by in the city. So there are many young professionals who may prefer to be able to walk to work or have a very short drive to work. The target is a young professional, young professionals. It is faculty from Alvernia, Albright, RAC, and other local colleges, as well as the new medical school with Tower Health close by and Reading Hospital. There will be doctors, nurses, other employees who would find this space so close by to work to be appealing. I will tell you what this is not. It is not intended as student housing. Student housing is in other areas of the downtown and in other neighborhoods. This is not intended as student housing. Other than that, I would be happy to answer any questions. I would like you, though, to go back to screen sharing for a moment, because I would like you to look at the layout as intended for the floors in the tower and annex. I'd like you to go to sheet number 3 first. And if you look at sheet number 3, that shows the tower, atrium, and annex. It's a good cross section. It points to a renovated lobby, office space for the management of the building, the atrium and proposed cafe. And there was a cafe, and the atrium had been used as reception space. I myself recall attending a reception in that atrium when it was being used recently as a federal court building. The cafe was in there. You won't have U.S. Marshals in there anymore, so you won't have that breaking up the space the same way. And you see the annex with future retail space, including where it is visible from the street. That is something that can restore the building to its former use. You could go to number 4. Okay, and there you can see the tower level with 11 floors of 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. And all of those apartments exceed the zoning ordinance minimum square footage requirements. And you can also see the annex and all 4 floors with 1 and 2 bedroom units in the annex. And you can also see where there will be some common areas, some passive common areas, some active common areas that are available for use by the residents. And there will also be in the building, there will be function space available for rental, for conferences, and that could be for use by residents or by rental to the public for conference space. And go to number 5, the next one. And again, that gives an overview of the tower and annex and of the proposed apartments, as well as some of the utility areas where the elevators are and the mix of apartments. We look forward to working with the Planning Commission, and we look forward to your input. We want to make this project work. We had a very highly productive one-stop meeting with city officials earlier this month. Mr. Abadallah was there, other city officials, and we look forward to continued partnering with the city. I would like to introduce Orlando Cuevas and Aris DiGermensi, who are the project managers, who could tell us more about the project timeline and answer any questions regarding the construction.
Thanks, Joan. So right now, we've basically just started with the initial clean out of the building. We're just cleaning out some of the trash, knocking out some of the existing partitions. We really want to try and have that lobby ready and presentable to, to the city essentially by Christmas, or, by December of this year is kind of the goal. And then I'm definitely able to, right now, we're tracking for a very optimistic goal of May of being able to present the first 14th floor of units. So right now, with keeping the timelines that we have and the city being as helpful as they are, we're definitely on track to hit those deadlines.
Okay, Aris, do you have anything to add?
No, I agree with everything Orlando said. We're on track to hit the timeline, and with the city's help, I think we're going to be all good.
Yeah. Do any of the members of the commission have any questions for us? We're all glad to answer any questions that you have and to discuss any recommendations that you have for the plan.
I think everyone's on mute.
You can unmute now. We're done talking, and we'll listen and answer questions at this point.
Ermetti, do you have anything? I guess as I was expecting.
Everyone's just speechless, Joan, after that speech.
I have some, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Will.
Okay, first question is a zoning question. The 300 feet minimum between the building and the parking, is that measured from the building or from the parcel? I don't know, we don't have zoning there, but maybe if Adam knows or could find that out.
I think it was from the entrance to the parking lot.
Yeah.
I think it was entrance to entrance.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Entrance to entrance.
Parking lot.
The entrance to the parking lot.
Yes.
The entrance to the parking lot, the entrance to the building.
To the entrance to the building, okay.
Yeah. Dave, could you please, I'm sorry, Adam, could you please go back to the aerial picture to show the Planning Commission so that will give a clear answer.
Right. The aerial photo, which is the first, which I believe is
Page 3.
6.
There you go. Yes. That distance in there is it is actually from entrance to entrance about, can't read it, I think 425.
Well, that's the front. There's actually an entrance on the side of the building as well, which brings it closer, at least another 15, 20 feet. But that's actually in the front. That's the side, the entrance from Washington Street. There's the one from the parking lot itself as well. We have, we've been blessed with multiple entrances to that building, maybe too many. But the entrance that's the most convenient would be the one on Washington Street.
Realize one thing too. The handicapped parking will be on site, and there will be available parking on site for 49 spaces. There will be the ability to reserve rental spaces in Chiarelli Garage under the agreement that is in the process, has been reached and is in the process of execution. For the target market, that additional 125 feet, is not going to be an issue. This is not senior citizen housing. This is housing for those who are looking for a pedestrian-friendly environment, and for whom the automobile is secondary very often. So we have asked that that be factored into the hearing board's consideration, and we hope that that would be factored into rules as to who is the target market for these.
I think we lost.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I may have a comment and a couple of questions, that satisfied me on the part. I certainly agree with what Joan was saying there. I really appreciate, as a historian, the restoration of the grand lobby to the original style, the Art Deco. I just wanted to note that that style is typical of the core of downtown, and I would say it's the style that's most characteristic of when Reading was in its heyday. So I think that fits. I see in the plans that part of it will be office space. I hope there'll be some public, access so we can see the other part too. I don't know what the plan is for it, but I think that's great. Just a couple questions. If they don't mind me asking, what is the target for the rent for the 1-bedroom and the 2-bedroom units? And also, will there be any storage? I don't know if there's I guess there's no basement in the facility. I didn't see anything like that.
The basement there's a huge basement there, actually, almost the same size as the annex that there is right now. Currently under the annex is the same space under the annex, which is entirely empty. Our plan was actually to put in storage there and separate that whole area into 85 storage units to satisfy the 85 units that we have upstairs.
There's about 600 square feet of storage. Sorry, Dave.
6,000.
Yep.
Yeah, about 6,000 square feet, yeah.
Which is slightly large for 85 units, but again, because of the size of the units and what we were able to work with, and the minimums and the maximums, I think we'll be able to have beautifully sized storage here for everybody. The question you had regarding the public use of the property itself, the actual access we were looking forward to was opening up the lobby to become more of an adaptive use lobby, where we would have, of course, our baby grand piano on the side, which is going to become our little staple there. But we want to make it into a area that people can use for functions, local functions, citizens of the downtown area or others can come rent it out for functions like bar mitzvahs or engagement parties or whatever it may be, or black tie events. I think that once that thing is polished up to where it's brought back to what it used to be, it's going to be just perfect for that. The size is great. There's also extra rooms that we have there next to the lobby itself, which I believe will be able to be adaptable to use for, should it be a caterer to want to bring in some, warmers and stuff like that to be able to have his little event. That area really has everything it needs to do that. That's one area. The actual atrium itself was another area that we're actually planning on using for the public as well, for the neighboring area to be able to come and grab a coffee, perhaps a snack, or maybe even I think some kosher ice cream that Reading Health offers actually. And then just have that area to the public as well. There is the area on top of the annex roof, which was another area that we were looking to expand to be able to bring in more people to open to the public in a way, obviously with restricted use because of the fact that our residents underneath, and it is an area which is going through the residential, not entirely through the residential area of the building, because it goes through the elevator straight to the steps to the roof. But because it's again, it's going through the building, there's be more restricted use. But again, it's also being built for a more public, again, to service the areas around it. We have the Alvenia, Alvenia. Geez, sorry, the university next door, Alvernia. Did I get that word?
You got it. Yes.
Alvernia. Alvernia, yes. Yeah. Sorry. So Alvernia University, which is next door, basically service that into our to service those people, the professors, the people who are in the high stress jobs of downtown all around. There's now, thankfully, there's a lot of areas downtown that, yes, they have been confined to spaces because of the vacancy issue, but there are pockets like we have the Berkshire around the corner, which has a fully occupied professional space, gives them a place to come by. There's a lot of local, city workers that can come by, grab a coffee, just in a place to, people can go to the Madison and should become a destination for people, the public as well, not just for people renting. We want the Madison, I'm sorry?
This project also complements existing uses that are part of the revitalization, such as the Goggle Works and Goggle Works Apartments and the Entertainment Square area, because it's in close proximity to those areas as well. The revitalization of this building also complements Reading's skyline, because as you're coming over the Penn Street Bridge, it's highly visible along with the courthouse, the services center, the Berkshire Building, and the Abraham Lincoln Hotel. So its revitalization really complements the revitalization of downtown as a whole.
Did that satisfy the questions, sir?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Hey, does anyone else on the commission have any questions? Hearing none, I'll go on with my spiel. Adam, the big question now becomes because what Joan has mentioned about continuing with us here in the Planning Commission, but as far as I know, they don't have to continue with us. Is that correct?
That is correct. Once we get authorization from ZHB, or once they get authorization from ZHB, hopefully, regarding the 500 feet to the garage for parking, that in essence concludes our portion of the saldo. Since there is nothing in saldo that states that, since they're not doing anything to the outside, the ordinance stands mute on this. So in this case, once the parking has been concluded and once Act 537 is complete, they're done. So yeah, there is no signing of a new plan. There's no recording. It is, so far, this is once they've taken our questions and suggestions into account, if there are any proceeding, that pretty much would conclude our portion of the approval.
And just so that Joan realizes that we're it. They don't have to go to City Council. That is correct?
That's correct.
So we do we pop the champagne now or later?
I'm used to townships. I'm used to townships and boroughs where we have to go through planning commission and local governing.
Yeah, we're the only ones in Berks County where you would not have to do the extra stuff.
Be good.
I did speak to did a little bit of background today. I spoke to Frank Dembowski. He sees no problem with the parking, even if because we're having there's a question as to the parking that's going to be required for Alvernia. And I asked him about this. I asked him about this, and he says no. There should be no problem because the previous parking study that's available to us is very outdated, and there should be no concerns. And of course, you're signing your agreement long before.
Well, I already signed mine actually yesterday.
Right. It's the balls in the planning commission in the parking authority's court.
No, they already told us they were signing. Just that I think Malin had to send it over to Nathan, and they had to get a signature, but the emails that were going back and forth until we got the final clean copy was supposed to be sent back to me last night, but apparently it did not. There was some holdup there, but the actual script has been concluded on both ends. We're just a matter of dotting the line.
Okay. Yeah, that is great because the since this is in the commercial core, the parking authority actually has a little more sway than we do in this case. Is there anything else that you would like to add, Adam?
As of this point, go ahead and pick the champagne out, but don't pop the cork yet. Wait until you get that signed paperwork back.
I'll put it in the chiller. No, but I think you guys, I will say this much in conclusion. I will say that I've had my reservations coming in originally. You know, it was almost too good to be true. I've literally poked every area of the city to try to see where is that monkey wrench that we're looking for, and literally every single person we've talked to, from Jamal to even Nathan and everybody. I mean, Lee has really directed us put us in a great situation, a great atmosphere, I think, where everybody really sees the same vision and honestly is on board with the same on the same path. And I really felt that it was most welcoming, a very, I would say, pleasant surprise. I was not expecting this kind of welcome, and the way you guys have worked together with Orlando to make this thing work. Jamal and Kim and literally everybody came together. All the King's Horses and all the King's Men came together to make this project happen. And again, it's still happening. We still have to hear the decision from the zoning hearing board, which really essentially is the peg that's holding this whole entire project. But it's up until now, I would say thank you so much for everybody here. Thank you very much to Joan. Thank you so much to Lee. And everybody, Jamal, everybody I've talked to again and has been involved in this has been so helpful. And I want to thank you guys for it. And I will invite you guys for a party. Hopefully, if Orlando has it in time for Christmas, that means it'll be time for a Hanukkah, which makes it place for maybe a Hanukkah party in our lobby.
So, Mr. Chairman, do we need some kind of a motion to give our approval for the zoning hearing board on that parking question?
Technically, we do not, since they are a separate authority.
Right.
Under their own with their own jurisdiction and their own ordinances. However, you know, we can mention that the Planning Commission has reviewed the project and agrees with the applicant that the 425-foot separation between the Madison and the Schiaparelli garage should not be held up as a way of blocking the project because of their targeted audience.
Right, Mr. Chairman, I wasn't sure we needed a motion, but just something that we can express on the record as long as there's consensus.
Yeah, what we would like is a motion supporting the request for zoning relief and in support of the plan in general.
Would someone like to make that motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Planning Commission expresses its favorability to the Madison renovation project, inclusive of the waiver of the exception for the distance of the off-site parking.
Very good. Would someone like to second that motion? I'll second that motion.
They-
Okay, all those in favor of the motion, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, I believe that is unanimous. We are all here, so that's 5-0.
No, that would be, Mr. Chair, that would be 4. Yeah, 4-0. Yeah.
Or one abstain. You should mention that he also abstained.
4-0-1, that's right.
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 I'm not sure if Commissioner Raffaelli is still with us. I keep getting muted randomly, so I'm not sure if he is too.
So there's some interference on this line. I'm not sure exactly where that's coming from.
Yeah, let me see.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a comment, please?
Yes, Tim, I'm sorry. I should have,
No,
called on you before.
it's just to refer back to the Act 537. I just wanted to make a comment about the Act 537. Since it sounds like there may not be too much more involved with the Planning Commission, then I would request that the developer would direct that activity straight to me. Normally, it would be addressed during the Planning Commission review. It's more administrative, although we do need to look at the flow. The total flow from the building is not going to be the same as what the building was originally designed for, or even what it was used for when the Act 537 plan was originally approved. So we'll need to study some of the water records to see if our sewer mains, number one, can handle the flow. It's not going to be a problem with capacity. It's going to be whether or not the flow will be able to be transported, or the capacity of the mains in the street will be able to handle it. That's our main concern. And just a couple of questions. Will there be laundry facilities at this building?
The laundry machines in every unit.
Okay.
No facility, no public facility.
Right.
The flow, we were looking at I'm sorry for breaking up just for a moment. I want to clarify. We have right now currently on every floor, there's 2 set of bathrooms with 3 or 4 toilets each that have women's, 4 men's, 4 women's. Right now, currently, that has been flowing through with the full capacity of the building. I believe if they felt that was good then. I didn't think it would have been an issue, but there is a study that we are working on in order to get that study to your desk and to the desk of the city just to confirm that. But as far as we know, we felt that we're very once we saw all those bathrooms on every floor and washing areas, we felt comfortable enough to look at that and say it would be okay. But again, that's something on our end as an applicant, but it's something which is being studied already. It's something that's brought up already a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
And just remember too, that when you're calculating the EDUs for it, that these are not intended as family apartments with larger families. These are 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, young professionals, young couples, which is going to be less use than family dwellings or student apartments with two bedrooms. So I think it needs to be looked at in terms of the target market when calculating what the average flow is going to be, versus also a full commercial use as an operating federal courthouse up until a couple of years ago, with the federal and bankruptcy courts occupying the building, and as well as an operating cafe. So there may be some equivalency of it between the two types of uses.
Yeah, but that's something a study will clarify and more accurately give us a study on exactly how much that will be. But I think we were pretty close. Our evaluations that we were pretty close.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, is the accuracy. The actual flow is this is the other good news, that the city doesn't charge anything in the city of Reading for connections for additional capacity, or even if you had to do a new connection. Unlike it is in a lot of other municipalities, there's no connection fee or tapping fee.
Isn't there a usage fee on both ends that the
well, you'll pay the meter in your regular usage service fees for sure, but
and that complements it on the other end.
Yeah, the upfront there is no fees for connection or tapping for sewage. There is for water. I'm not speaking for raw water. I'm just speaking for sewer. But we do want to know what the actual flow is and the delta, the difference between what it was and what it's going to be. That's what we're looking for.
Well, yeah, we'll have that.
Thank you. The only other question I have, just a detail, you described the parking lot. Is there going to be a space for loading and unloading for both the residents and your retail?
Well, we were hoping to use the alleyway between the back and when we needed it, that little alley that comes out by the, between us and the M&T Bank, if necessary. There's simply an easier access. It's the street level there. It's the only area that's actually street level without going up and down steps to get to an elevator.
And that would have access to an elevator at street level?
Well, that gets the access. It goes through the atrium into the elevator.
Oh.
Or to the annex elevator, which is done, both coming out of the atrium.
Because it's an operating commercial building, there may be a loading area already there.
It's possible, but right now I'm saying that there is an alleyway there. There's also the parking lot itself that can accommodate. We just pull in a car. The parking, the way the entrance of the actual parking lot works, it goes up straight up against the entrance that we have facing the Shirley Garage, the west side of the building. So if someone were to bring in a truck, they can actually bring in a truck there without having any turns whatsoever, back it in, and take it straight out. There's no moving around the garage for that. Like, oh, someone's sharing that. No, the next one. You're probably gonna look at the next one.
Is that actually the Madison Avenue? Is that what you're talking
Madison.
about?
Yeah,
that's
Madison
not an
Avenue.
alley.
That's the Madison Avenue. So that's
they
a
use
public
that car-
street.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
if that's
fine. So, but if you go into the parking lot itself, if you go down to the plan itself, if we could bring up the plan on the next page.
Yeah, I've got it here on my other screen too, so I can see.
Okay, nope, sorry, right there. So we actually have coming, well, not here, further up. There, what am I looking at? There. So you see the entrance to the garage, the entrance to the parking lot. We actually have a straight line to the door. You'll see there where it says handrail. When you go up the bottom left side of the screen, where you see the entrance to the parking lot, it's a straight line going right into that entrance on top. There is also an area where you see trash receptacles and mechanical equipment area. That's another loading area they can very well use because that area is open as well to the annex. There's a double door there.
I was wondering. Yeah, because you'll need that for your trash. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, trash actually we have decided to move it elsewhere because of the proximity to the elevator that we had talked about earlier, which is going to be at the other end of the parking lot behind the couple of buses, just for two yarders basically, because we'll be having every 2 days trash pickup. So two yarders compacted with a compactor. That would be at the end of the parking lot, above the entrance, towards the, what's that street called? The main street, Washington, of course.
Washington.
So that trash area right now, the trash receptacle and equipment area is actually going to be more open and available to load there as well. So I mean, there's plenty of room to play with. If Madison Avenue doesn't like it, then we can move it into our parking lot itself. Thankfully, the parking lot entrance doesn't require any truck turns, so we can literally just move them straight in, move them straight out.
Yeah, right now Madison is mostly marked no parking except for the one cutout. Oh, that's the entrance to the M&T Bank there.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, these were just ideas that were floating. We never really cared because we have enough entrances to accommodate anything we needed to accommodate. There's, again, the double doors. We have a trash receptacle area. We have the doors at the end of the parking lot. We have the other side, which is on the side of the atrium. We can always, ask Mr. Schuman if he would be kind enough and we can park our car there and have it dragged across the street. But if he doesn't like it, then we always have the other side.
Yeah, you might be able to work something out for Madison Avenue. You might be able to do a cutout there. But anyway, you answered my question. You've got areas where you've thought about loading and unloading. That's good.
Yeah, no, we thought of that. I mean, again, we try to bring in as many things. I threw everything at this thing, every question we could pop. We were wondering where that area would be. We thought it would be with the trash, and finally we found a solution for that. But almost everything we threw at this, we were able to come up with something, thankfully.
Okay, Wayne, that's all my questions.
I should mention that if, and I'm not foreseeing this, that if a new sewer connection does need to be made, that of course requires access to the street and new, possibly new easements, then the applicant would have to come back to the Planning Commission to submit an updated plan. But since there are no new utilities going in, new utilities going into the building, and as Joan mentioned, there's the parking situation has been taken care of by an earlier parking study. There's no submission, no further submission needed for the Planning Commission. And with that, unless someone else has some comments, I would like to turn this back.
I think you broke up there right before the end.
If there are no other comments, I would like to turn this back over to Lee Olson.
I think he muted himself.
Yeah.
He gave up his gravel and he muted himself.
We can hear you now, Lee.
Hear me now? Thank you very much.
We appreciate the Planning Commission's support, and we appreciate your comments. And we look forward to working with the city.
Well, I sat here on my hands and I taped my mouth shut, and it was very good. I appreciate, you all did well. Congratulations, you did excellent.
Thank you.
And Jamal, thank you very much for adding the fact that I did not only recuse, but abstain from voting. So I thank you very much for the record. And I hope that the recorder makes sure that she has that in the record. All right, with that, to the Madison Avenue team, thank you all so very much. Well done. And with that, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is 2B, PC 2020-106, 601 Canal Street, sketch plan for Reading Skate Park regarding a proposed land development of parcel Berks County, PIN number 530643866637, also known as 601 Canal Street, prepared by Spot Stevens and McCoy on behalf of the Reading Skate Park Association. At this point in time, I would look to anyone from the Skate Park Association who is their chief spokesperson to address the Planning Commission, and we will then hear from both Adam from Planning and Tim from Public Works as to the opinion of staff on this project.
Sure. My name's Nick Saraday. I work for Spot Stevens and McCoy. I'm here tonight representing the Reading Skate Park Association. On this call, there's a bunch of members as well. And also we have Grindline Skate Park on the line as well. And at the very end, if you have questions for this group of individuals or Grindline themselves, we can address them then. For now, I'm just going to kind of run through kind of the background of how we got to where we're at, the project, and then turn it over to them. So the Reading Skate Park Association was established in 2016. Their primary goal was to provide the city of Reading a concrete outdoor recreational skate park. This park was going to be for public use. One of their primary goals was to basically build the park at little to no cost to the city. Since 2016, they've been awarded various grants. They have a grant from Vans, the shoe company. They got a grant from the DCED. They got a grant from Tony Hawk. He has a foundation. So they've raised a bunch of money. They've had multiple fundraising events, and they've also done some community outreach where they go out and they've done trash cleanups in the city of Reading, and they try to contribute to the city. The Reading Skate Park Association has an agreement with the Reading Redevelopment Authority for this property, which is 601 Canal Street. It's catty corner to the Canal Street Pub and currently a vacant lot. As part of this process, when they initially started, they wanted to hire a very qualified skate park company. So they got Grindline Skate Parks, Inc., which is based out of Seattle, Washington. This is a premier skate park company. They've designed over 100 skate parks nationwide. This is what they do. They know the skateability, they know the materials, they know how to construct it, they know how to make it last. So they got Grindline, they went through some concepts. They've, tried to get into the news, and the project is underway. We put a proposal in, Spot Stevens McCoy put a proposal in to do the site work, the stormwater, and the permitting because we're local. Collectively, SSM and Grindline have worked on a set of plans. The Reading Skate Park Association has guided us and given us direction of how they wanted to see the project look. So I'd like to talk a little bit about our site. The site is a little bit unique. It used to be fully developed. It actually contained 44 different properties that we found record of. There was a bunch of townhomes on it, and in 1972, Hurricane Agnes came in and basically destroyed all these properties. At that time, also New Canal Street, which is the street on the north side of our project, did not exist. So in 1974, the Redevelopment Authority started acquiring these properties. And in 1987, the Redevelopment Authority consolidated them. This parcel is considered the disposition parcel number 32 of the Model Cities 1 Urban Renewal Project. So it's been vacant for the most part for a long period of time. And one of the main, problems with the site is that there's a 96-inch pipe that goes right through the center of the site. It's basically a pipe that contains an encapsulated stream, and a lot of the stormwater networks for the city drain to this pipe. So developing it had a little bit of a hardship because the parcel is essentially divided in half. So we looked at this, we looked at different layouts, and it ultimately led to our design. So the park itself is 26,500 square feet. We were required to provide parking. We were required to do one space per 5,000 square feet of parking of the park. So we laid out six parking space. We laid out a 6 parking space parking lot. And in order to really maximize the size of the park, we did a one-way cartway aisle in the parking lot with angled parking. This allowed us to maximize the space that we could use on one half of the pipe that I was referring to. So we laid out the park, we laid out the parking lot, and then one of the biggest things on the site to consider is stormwater. Essentially everything we're proposing is impervious. So we have a very large stormwater bed under the parking lot. That's going to basically infiltrate the water from the park and the parking lot into the ground. So the stormwater itself is pretty heavily designed. We did infiltration testing. The site does infiltrate, and we think we can meet water volume and rate control requirements. So after we laid out the stormwater in the park, we started talking about how the park would function. One thing we wanted to consider was a bathroom. We feel like a park of this size will get a lot of attention. We think it will get some good use. And we wanted to provide skaters and people who would use this park the opportunity to go to the bathroom locally. We didn't want people inappropriately going to the bathroom around the area or going into businesses just to use the bathroom. So we felt that it would be a good add-on to the park. So what we have proposed is a 2-stall bathroom. It's actually a prefabricated bathroom. And when I say prefabricated, it's basically built completely off-site. Walls, roof, the toilets, the sink, the water fountain, everything is basically constructed and then put on a flatbed truck, delivered to the site. And when they drop it, they put it on a pad which will have laterals and utilities ran to before they come with the bathroom. So the goal was to propose a bathroom for recreational use. And then one thing that we really wanted to do, I think, was to give this park a city feel. A lot of thought went into how to make this fit into your community. So what we did was we have some shade structures that are around the site. You'll see 3 different shade structures. And we selected the color red for the roofing material. We think that is generally, Reading High School's color. Also is the color of the pagoda. So we thought that was a good feel. And then also one of the shade structures in the corner closest to New Canal Street, we were going to do a tiered roof, which would somewhat look like the pagoda itself. We thought that would give it a really good feel and help the park fit into the community. When we laid out the park, we also considered landscaping. Right now, the site currently has many street trees. Some of them are overgrown. Our plan is to reutilize the existing street trees, but we want to go out, we want to prune them, we want to clean the site up. We're not proposing too much landscape. One thing with the park, typically these parks have 4-inch drains all throughout the park, which help collect the water from the various bowls and the park itself. And having leaves near the park is not something that's desirable. So, we're trying to use the existing vegetation and not put too much more around the park at this point. We also proposed lighting. The lighting depicted in the renderings has slightly changed, but we are proposing some lighting around the park. That way, people who want to use the park somewhat into the evening can. Sometimes when you're into the fall, you come home from work, you're out at 5, and by the time you get home, it's already dark. So we thought we would attempt to light up the park. We would also have this lighting timed accordingly to however the city would prefer. We wouldn't want it to evade on any of the surrounding homes, but we do think that it would be a pretty big benefit to the park if we could light it. And then the last thing I kind of want to talk about, if you could go to page 3 of the plan set, is somewhat of the phasing that we're proposing. So the RSA has done a great job of raising money. I think at this point, we have enough for phase 1. So the project that we're proposing is actually going to be in 2 phases. There's a phase line that goes through the park. So phase 1 is something we're hoping to construct as soon as possible. I think realistically, we could maybe start the spring of 2021 if everything we work out with the city between now and then. I think it's feasible. So phase 1 would be the first half of the park. It would be all of the stormwater. You can see the large infiltration bed on the plan that's shown right now. It would be the parking lot, and we would run the utility laterals, but it would just be the laterals for phase 1. And then phase 2, we hope to acquire funding within 5 years or less. And essentially, as soon as we have the funding, we'd like to construct phase 2, which would be the second half of the park. It would be the shade structures that we mentioned, as well as the bathroom and the bulk of the park lighting. So that's essentially the project. In a nutshell, I'd like to turn it over to the RSA just to talk a little bit about their organization, some of their community involvement, and some of their background. And then after that, I'd like to get into some questions. I think one of our goals tonight is to get as much feedback and direction as possible from the city so we know what you guys expect to make this project happen. So I'd like to turn it over to the RSA just briefly to talk about their group.
Awesome. Hi, I'm JD Turner. I'm the president of the Reading Skate Park Association. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. I just want to say thank you to the Planning Commission and everyone for Skyping in today and meeting on the Zoom chat to talk about the project. This is something that, I've worked really hard for with the city and with the rest of the RSA members and with SSM and Grindline for about 3 years now. It's been a lot of labor of love, just kind of having, local community fundraisers, activating the local youth, getting local people involved in not only cleaning the area around Canal Street once we zoned in on the parcel, but also, just working with the community whenever there's been any issues with skateboarding. One of the biggest being up at the city park, the Vietnam Memorial was getting skated. So we worked with the city and with Representative Rossi and came up with some signs and, just deterring skateboarding up there. So the goal for us is to have a spot in the city that is free and kids can actually go and skate and have a good time and it's safe. And I think that's been the number one priority of the park association since we started. And because of that, we applied for the Tony Hawk Foundation's grant, which is now called the Skate Park Project. They renamed themselves, but basically they award grants out to skate park projects around the country, and it's in a value of $1,000 to $25,000. And Reading was picked #1 last year out of every skate park in the entire United States. So it's something like to really be proud about. I think it's a great thing moving forward, especially unfortunately with COVID going on. Skateboarding was going to debut in the Olympics this year. We also have a local Reading youth that's on the Olympic skateboarding team. So I think it's one of those things that like once kids kind of see that, there's going to be, a new explosion of kids taking up the hobby. Similar to if you golf, skateboarding is an activity that can be done by an individual. You don't need a team to do it. It's something that can be used, a kid can show up, skate for a couple hours, leave, come back. And it's one of those things that like it forges, groups of individuals through socialization at the skate park. But as I said, it can also be done individually. And just a little background info on myself. I've been a local Reading resident for 31 years now. I took a 5-year hiatus to move to Philadelphia and attend college at Temple University, but I decided to move back and start my own small local business in West Reading, Pennsylvania, which is called Holistic Skate Shop. And just based off of, right now in our current situation economically and, with the pandemic, outdoor recreation is exploding right now. It's one of the only things that you can do socially distance, golfing, tennis, riding bikes, skateboarding. It's huge. I mean, like every bike shop nationwide is sold out of parts. There's a 5-month wait to get your bike tuned up. It's the same thing with the skateboard industry. I'm sending boards out to California and Seattle, where Mike is from, almost daily because there's a shortage of everything, because there's so many kids taking up skateboarding because it's something you can do socially distance-wise. I don't know how long this pandemic's going to last, but just being able to provide more spaces where kids can skate, it's going to give people an outlet for, getting exercise and staying healthy during the pandemic. So that's just something else I just wanted to touch on with this whole project. And I can't thank SSM enough and Grindline Skate Parks enough and the city for just, giving us their support. I know we've talked a lot with the administration and with city council during this project over the last 3 years, and just the support's overwhelming. So just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah, now if you guys have comments, questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Just before we go into a pair of questions and answers in there, I would like to emphasize that I met with JD and the committee in there regarding this. The city is actually at this point is proposing a grant application to help with building this. The group here have been and proven beyond any doubt that they are actually in interest of developing this area so that everybody will benefit from the parks and recreation activities. This is going to be located in a path that actually will be able to tie in later on when we develop the trail. So its location is phenomenal, and it will bring in a lot of activities to us, and that's why the city is actually in support, and that's why the administration have applied for a grant to help financing the first phase of the project and hopefully the second phase. Just wanted to let you know about that. That is basically a very critical project for our recreational activities. Thank you.
I wanted to ask JD if, oh, this is Wayne Beeler, the Vice Chairman, by the way.
How you doing?
Just wanted to ask JD if he's expecting competitions to take place at this location?
So that's something that's a really good question. That's something that can happen. It just depends on, once the park's built, getting the sponsors allocated. I know there's a lot of local events that are done by a group in Philadelphia that uses, there's a park in Philadelphia that's actually on the Schuylkill River Trail in Philadelphia called Paynes Park. It was built in 2016 or 17. And they actually have competitions there. It's something that's very easy to put on, especially with the tie-ins to electric, just using for sound equipment and everything. Contests are pretty cool because it gives people from outside the city a reason to come in for the day and kind of check out the park and skate. And, if they want to enter into a contest for roller skating, BMXing, skateboarding, I think it's something that's, this park is of the quality and the size that we could do it. If you're familiar with the county, they have the skate park over at Stonecliff Recreation Park. There's a contest there annually that we help throw with the Parks and Rec department. We usually have about 60 to 70 kids that show up for that day when they would do the contest.
Okay. And as a follow-up to that, you showing sorry, were you able to
no.
five spaces, is that correct?
Six, yeah, there's 6 parking spaces. One would be handicapped. Also, all the way around the park, there's on-street parking. But we were required to do 6 total off-street parking spaces.
Yeah. Would it be possible for you to add a plan note to show how many parking spaces are available?
Yeah, it's on, I think it's on sheet 1. We have a parking calculation, and it's 1 space per 5,000 square feet. And we just clarify it there. I think it's on the cover sheet.
Okay, I'll have to follow up with Public Works on that then, because of course we would like to see this be successful, but we also would not want people coming down here and then parking at Canal Street.
Of course. Yeah, I actually, on a side note, I work for the restaurant at Canal Street Pub, so I understand the situation with parking pretty well. I would say that, provided with Nick's 6 spaces plus the on-street parking around the parcel, there should be adequate enough if there was a contest going on that day. I think most of the zoning with parking was actually, taking the understanding that most of the residents will be able to take buses to the park, bike to the park, which we also have, bicycle parking allocated down there, and also just being to walk to the park.
Yeah, my biggest thing would have been, out of town people who would come in for the special events.
Of course.
And then just yeah, this will preliminary plan.
Excuse me, this is Lee Olson calling. I'm getting a strange icon on my screen. It says they're going to reboot my computer in 2.5 minutes, and I have to get off of here, and I'll call back in. Adam, I'm going to need the call in. I guess I'll go to my to your email. I don't have it in front of me. Do you have the phone number and the meeting code and the password right away?
You want me to email those to you or just give them to you verbally?
Why don't you give it to me verbally? I don't think I'll have time.
Okay, let me pull that up real quick.
I'm sorry, gentlemen.
Okay, the number is 888
888
475
475
4499.
4499
The meeting ID is 937
937
9790
9790
9286.
9286.
Now the passcode is 966
966
887.
887. Thank you very much. I'll shut this down and join you guys immediately.
Thank you.
Thank you. I apologize.
Did you guys have any other questions on layout, functionality, the bathroom, anything to do with the park itself, grading, anything like that?
What we'll probably do is run through the commissioner's questions, and then both Tim and I have some questions for you, and then we'll discuss moving forward what the plan will be.
Okay.
This is Bob Conklin. Nick, I think what Wayne was asking for with the parking was not how many are on site and how you came to that number, but if you could put a note on there, how many on-street parking actually touch the property. This will give us a better understanding of the capacity for the parking that's immediately adjacent to the property.
Okay, yeah, we can absolutely do that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Well, I'll just, this is Will Suffice. I'll just add that there's a real need, I believe, for this kind of facility. It was mentioned about Stonecliff, that is within the city limits, but it's in a remote section of the city, at the Glenside area. So there had been a skate park from the 1990s to the mid-2000s at Hampden Park. So we haven't really had anything anywhere near downtown. And also, I appreciate that this is, I consider this part of the riverfront. And I think Reading's riverfront is an underappreciated, underutilized asset. We have Schuylkill River Trail and other trails, a pedestrian bridge, a couple of boat launches, including one right near there at Heritage Park. So I think this just adds to what is available. I know originally this was thought of being down, of course, in the Second and Penn area, but I think it fits just as well over where it's being proposed. So I'm excited to see this kind of use in something that has just been sitting there idle for the last several years.
Yeah. This is Lee Olson. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good, great. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Have other members of the commission asked their questions? I have a couple. I'd like to have you gentlemen do yours first. All right, hearing none. JD, can you give me a couple of insights? I was able to still watch the renderings that were on the screen. And is there a plan for an operating schedule of hours? I don't think it's going to be 24/7. And I couldn't tell from the drawing if there is a security fence so that when you are shut down, that you do have the benefit of security to keep people out when you don't want them there.
Great, great questions. So number one is hours of operation. That's, since this is our preliminary meeting with, all of you, I wanted to start the conversation. The park will not be open 24 hours. It's bordering residential neighborhoods. We want to be respectful of the neighbors. Most of these parks, at least referencing the closest local park that's concrete in York, Pennsylvania, it's called Reed Benzer. They actually operate from sunrise all the way until around like 9 o'clock. They have lights on their skate park as well, and they're just worked on a timer. So the city can actually set the times that the park's in operation. So just like Nick said earlier in his initial proposal, if someone's coming home from work in the wintertime when the hours change with the sunlight, the parks can still be used even if someone has work and they want to get out and exercise. Similar to around the corner, there's rec center. There's a hockey rink that's on a timer, and the park also has the basketball court, the blacktop up there, that have lights on a timer as well.
Okay, speaking of lighting, it would be metered or be on a timer. Is there any consideration, and maybe Tim, you can weigh in, for lighting like this? Do we have to be concerned about the night sky regulations, and do we have to be concerned about any spillover onto non-skate park property for the neighbors?
Yeah, Lee, if you want me to comment on that, the answer is yes. We do have to be concerned about that. There are ordinances. SSM did provide a lighting diagram. I think it's for phase 1. I'm not sure if it's for phase 2. And one of my questions were, I'm seeing a lot of lighting on the rendering, but I think that may have been revised. But SSM is aware of the lighting regulations and the 10 o'clock ordinance for light, outside the property and that sort of thing. And I think they have done some planning to address that.
Yeah.
Nick, maybe.
Okay, I'm sure they. Yeah. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Yes. I'm sure they have, because it is at the end of a neighborhood, and it certainly would be of some, not concern to me, but I want to make sure that we are respecting the neighborhood with respect to lighting, and that we don't overflood the neighborhood.
Mr. Chairman, this is Will. That's a great question. There are, for compliance with the Dark Skies Initiative, the particular kind of lighting and also the directionality of it would be compliant with that. And then the separate matter would be, I'm sure Public Works will address, would be the spillover laterally to the surrounding neighborhood.
Correct. We will do that. There's nothing in the ordinance directly. There is some indirect indications to dark skies, but I don't know how much of a required improvement that could be. But you're right, the type of lighting, the directionality of the lighting, and the timing would equate into that dark skies initiative.
Yeah. Yes, and the dark skies is in our draft of our comprehensive plan.
I see.
Yeah. And it becomes exacerbated by the fact that the majority of the surface is concrete, which is white or a gray white. So it's just going to reflect the light that is shown down upon it. JD, is there going to be an on-site manager when this place is open? Will there be somebody from your association who acts as a sort of, on-site manager per se, in the event of someone having a problem or an accident or something like that? How's that been handled in the past? Because I'm going to tell you my one and only skateboard experience. It lasted less than 1.5 seconds, and thank God there was a bunch of bushes that I fell into, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, no, of course I totally hear your concern. I've been there too much. Typically, and I'm just speaking on behalf of other cities, communities, typically there isn't supervision at skate parks. It's typically something that can just be used at your own risk, and also just kind of open to the public if they want to use it. So depending on where you're at, different skate parks have different usage requirements. I know some skate parks utilize like a lock system where when the park's closed, a tenant comes around, like a park ranger, for example, and locks a gate. Whereas like that's a situation example of Stonecliff Skate Park over in the county, which is in Reading. Then in York, Pennsylvania, which is the park out of Reed Menzer, there's absolutely no situation of like having a gate or anything. So it's like you can walk up on it. Once the lights are out, typically the users just leave. And I mean, it's something similar to any other recreational facility. I mean, I hate to like draw that same conclusion that skateboarding and action sports are at risk and people get hurt more. there's actually been studies that actually users of park projects with basketball courts get actually injured more often. So it's the same as like, having jungle gyms or basketball courts or, any kind of sporting facility, accidents happen. I don't think it's designed to make people get hurt. But, someone's just as easily dribbling a basketball at City Park can go for a layup and sprain their ankle or break their ankle and stuck in the same position that a skate park user would be at. I just think there's just more of a common perception that these injuries happen more often, that skating's more quote unquote extreme when actually not. Typically, at least what I've seen in skateboarding is there's more injuries per capita for people using the streets and sidewalks for transportation than users in the actual skate park.
Yeah. Who will be the owner? Who will be the owner of the property? Will Reading Skate Park lease the land from the city? Is it a ground lease, or do you become the property owner? I'm trying to look at liability insurance and what is the city at risk for? Just a legal question, but one that would give me a better understanding of ownership and responsibility.
Of course, another great question. We're actually working with the city. So we're working on developing the park. We want this to be a city park, just like any other facility, like the blacktop basketball courts, the hockey rink. So it would just fall, in that regard. As far as insurance and everything else goes, most skate parks typically, and I know Micah's on the call, so he's an expert with this because he's designed and built hundreds of parks around the country. Most of these skate park projects fall within the same umbrella, blanket insurance as other facilities that are already being used in cities. Like I said, an example before, basketball courts, hockey rinks, jungle gyms that kids fall off.
Yeah, I could speak a little bit to that. So just in pretty much every state, skateboarding has been declared a hazardous sport, so it falls under the same categories as basketball, football, baseball, any of these other athletic activities. And so if you have a facility that is, unsupervised and people aren't having to pay for it, then basically them entering is basically they are assuming the risk whether they know it or not. And so once they kind of pass these ordinances around the country, it pretty much made it where municipalities could open these skate parks. And, most of the time it just basically falls under your standard, insurance as far as, whatever you do for liability for your typical sporting facilities that you have now.
Okay. Well, Nick and JD, is it your intention that when you said, I think it was you, JD, that said that this would become a city park, so then the city becomes liable as the primary owner of the property itself, not unlike any other city park per se? So it's not, it is not private property, or it's not ownership other than the city.
I would say, just based off of that, correct. We're working with the administration and with city council, like for the past few years, talking about almost like in a proposal to get the park and the land back to the city to turn it into a city park.
Okay. Adam, is there any, I noticed on the site plan from Spot Stevens, there was land to the left of the site. I'm trying to figure out what direction that was. Is there any promotion in the city for gardens, community gardens, where people can collectively as a neighborhood come together and plant a vegetable garden and things like that? The reason I'm asking is because they've gone to great lengths to put together a collection basin or a network under the park itself for the collection of rainwater. And I was wondering if there's some sort of mutual collaborative effort that that water, rather than just being discharged into the stormwater system or directly to the Schuylkill, if there would be a way that in time it could be metered or captured, where it could act as some a community garden resource for water. I just don't know. I'm just throwing it out because I personally like the idea. I think it's a great use of the land. I've come to terms with all the skateboarders that I come across or come by me, and that's fine. I'm jealous because I can't do what they can. I think it's pretty cool. And I think this is a great use of the land. And I was just wondering if there's a way that we could ingratiate ourselves to the neighborhood and promote, using it as part of a neighborhood resource, not only for kids, but also maybe there's an offshoot of some of that water that you have to collect could be utilized. Just an off-the-wall idea. By no means will it keep me from making my approval, but I just think it's something that maybe Spots should look into if there's some way that some of that water could be collected for future use on a community garden in the neighborhood.
I will definitely take a look at that. I do know that the councilwoman representing that district, Ms. Shehelnick, does have a current Victory Garden application moving forward in the city, but I think those are more planters. But I think this would be a project that she would most definitely be interested in, maybe even in coordination with the Canal Street Brewery next door with fresh garden and vegetables as well. So no, that is
absolutely
legitimate, absolutely perfect idea. I will definitely ask around the city about a program.
Yeah, I just want
Okay, cool.
talk a little bit about, I guess, why we did the stormwater bed the way we did and why it's underground. So this project over an acre of disturbance at the end of the day, so we're required to get an NPDES permit through the DEP. Part of that is a water quality requirement. So pretty much all of the water we create with the new impervious surface, their objective is to get it back into the ground. So that's why we did our underground infiltration bed, and majority of the water just goes back into the ground to essentially recharge it. And when it goes into the ground and infiltrates the phosphorus and nitrogen and the things they're trying to get out of the water, essentially go into the soil. So we have to infiltrate a certain amount to meet our requirements. So that's why the bed is the size it is. We have there's like loading ratios, so the amount of water you can put in one area. So a lot of thought went into the stormwater bed. I'm just saying the amount of water that will actually leave the site, even though all of this will be constructed, will be less than what's currently leaving the site now. So the capture and reuse of just the water might be a little difficult. I mean, we can look into it, but like we have to infiltrate a certain amount of water. So we purposely need the water to go where it's going as designed right now.
Understand, and NPDES just tells you exactly what you must do. I didn't know. I just thought I would just, it was an idea that came across my brain, so I just threw it out there. You obviously have done your homework, and that's what's important.
Mr. Chairman, this is Will. Yes, I think it's a good question because I think briefly in the 2000 teens, if not on this exact site, but somewhere nearby, there was a community garden for maybe a season or so. So I think it is right on, and I think it's something worth looking at, and it is something being promoted in the city again. Community gardens.
Not to jump too much into this too, Katie again. So not speaking for Councilwoman Shehelnick on her behalf, but just based off of like talking to her, we did talk about how the city at one point did have a bike pump track on Penn Street that got taken out. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it. The site location, if you're looking at the picture on the screen right now, it shows that pipe that Nick identified that bisects the site. So we're not going to go past that pipeline with impervious concrete. So the rest is open for just development as just a grass field. One of the things that Lucine actually proposed to us in one of our meetings was the possibility of, as a separate project, putting in a pump track there, which I'm not sure if you guys are used to pump tracks, but it's basically like taking just pieces of fill and making almost like a small 8-track to a bunch of loops around the site location that BMX riders and bicyclists and skateboarders and rollerbladers can use. So that's something that was taken away from the city like about, I think, 3 or 4 years ago that kids really like looked forward to using. And we have a lot of bikers in the city, especially with like the Rad Sport and the, you know, the biking races that happen annually. So it's something that a few of our community members have looked into to get pricing on. And I know Micah has more info on this, but we identified a local person named David King who does the pump tracks, and it might even be something feasible that when we dig out the ground for the poles, we can reuse the fill to make pump tracks.
Yeah,
Okay.
just to speak a little more further to that, there was discussion that if we did have excess fill and it was reusable, that we would stockpile it over on that side of the site, and then if the BMX guys could use that to start building their pump track.
All right. Those are the only questions I had. Are there any other questions from anybody else on the commission, or Adam or Tim? Do you have anything from planning and or public works that we need to discuss and hear about at this time?
Also, too, I just want to add one more topic, too. There was a question about if there's going to be a dividing line coming into the site that identifies the entry point. Mike can speak to this because he designed it, but basically there's a 4.5-foot gate that's right at the Canal Street, north side of the site location that designates that it is a skate park. There will be signage. So just to put that out there, that question was asked. I just wanted to answer it.
Good, thank you very much.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we do have from the planning standpoint. Ian, this is Adam Thomas, the planner.
Yes, sir.
We have outstanding for review the Act 247 from the county. Fire still needs to weigh in. Zoning is going to be rendering a report. The arborist has come back with some preliminary comments, which I have forwarded to Nick. And then we still have to hear from Daphne Clark up at Parks and Rec. We'd like their input as well. There are a few other issues on the review that Nick and Tim and I are going to be setting up a meeting here in the next couple of weeks to go over a few issues, mainly once those outstanding reports come in from the county and fire. As of this point, I know Tim has a laundry list. So I'm going to cede my time to Tim, and then when he's done, I may have some follow-up.
All right, thank you very much. Adam, Tim, you're up.
Okay, thanks, Lee. Yeah, I did send out a memo, went out a little bit later than I wanted to because I wanted to make sure that Charlie Jones got a chance to review it. Charlie Jones is now our interim Public Works Director. He's back at the helm on this, so now he's going to be reviewing these. I just can't let him out without it. Nick, did you get the...
I did get the review.
Okay.
I guess.
Tim, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt. Adam, you've got to stop sharing your screen. If you
That's not me sharing.
Okay.
I was just trying to contact Jamal.
Yeah, so I got your comments.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you got it. Did the rest of the Planning Commission get a copy of my review? Okay, yes. I'm seeing some nods. Okay, I don't need to go through the whole list because I think Nick and Adam and maybe some other folks will go through some of the technical items, but I did want to touch on a few of them to get your input on that. I think something that would be good to have input from the rest of the commission. Sure. The one is has to do with the phase 1 environmental site assessment. Was there any site assessment done on this?
So we ran a PNDI, the PINDI, and we didn't have any hits. So we didn't do a phase 1 study for that. The only thing that we did do out there was we did soil logs and infiltration testing. And when we dug into it, we were surprised. We thought we were going to hit like rubble from the old houses, but it was just soil. So we got good rates, and that's about the extent of the study that we did there.
Yeah. The concern is now, I know from aerials, I was looking at this, it seems to have a history of residential and only residential, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't some industry. There's a lot of industry in that area of town. And where there's industry, we have found that, there's frequently soil contamination. So It's something that, we'll want to make sure, because this is a park and there will be a lot of public exposure. We want to make sure that it's safe for the public in that respect. Yeah, you mentioned about being an NPDES permitted site, because the disturbed area for both phases is going to exceed 1 acre.
Correct,
And,
yes.
and we'll just need that for the final plan. There was a request to eliminate the preliminary and go to final. I said, my recommendation is I think it should go through final and preliminary through final, because of all the comments that we're talking about, especially because it's going to eventually be turned over to the city, and we're going to need to get the rec commission involved with Daphne Clark to make sure that, she's on board with the ideas. She's unfortunately not present here at the meeting, but I think her input would be valuable to that. I made a comment earlier, and I think you responded to it, about why is there no fence? Because out at the Stone Cliff, I'm seeing a fence and a lock on that one, and this one doesn't have it. And I think JD sort of explained a little bit about that. I'm not an expert on parks, so I guess maybe Nick or JD, if you just want to elaborate a little bit more. I'm not sure what Daphne would say. I think there are fences around some of the other parks where they're controlling the public, so that they're not using it when it's not appropriate. But maybe you can shed some light on that.
Sure. From our perspective, I think we want it to be a public park. We want people to use it. We can fence it if that's something you guys want to require. We can absolutely do that. I think we just thought that if it's a public park and it's open and people really can't skate at night if the lights are off, that there's really no need to fence it. But if that's something you guys are passionate about or feel that we need to have, then we can consider it. As JD mentioned, many other skate parks of this size don't have fence, but I know Stone Cliff has pretty tall fencing, and I know it's locked up on occasion. So if that's something that you guys want us to do, we can do. It's just something we got to discuss.
Yeah. And not to piggyback too much on Nick, but I'll just my example of Stone Cliff. So I work pretty hand in hand with the county. Like I said, I'm 31 years old. I've been skateboarding for about 19 years now, of my 31 years on this earth. I used Stone Cliff Skate Park since it was built in 2004, and I was about 14 when I started going there. One of the biggest concerns with fences, and I know Micah, who constructed skate parks around the country, can kind of give his 2 cents about this issue, is that when you build tall fences like Stone Cliff, I probably pulled up one of the pictures of the park. When the gates are locked, which happens sometimes with Stone Cliff because the park rangers are the ones who open the gates, I've seen kids try and jump the fence to get in, which is very dangerous. Clothing can get hung up on it. Your skateboard can get hung up on it. People's book bags can get caught on it. And then also the vice versa of climbing over the fences is I've also seen kids lift the fences up to the point where they're breaking at the sides. So that's just something to consider with skate parks when you lock them up and you don't have easy access to them. Micah probably has a better example of that, seeing as how he's been a part of projects around the country. I'm just giving my example of what I've seen at Stone Cliff and the block.
Well, just to speak to that, I mean, if you think about it, what's the purpose of the fence? Okay, it's to keep people from using it when you don't want them to use it. But, unless you have a fence with barbed wire on the top or something like that, they're just going to climb the fence and use it. And then anytime you have a fence, it's kind of higher than your sight line. So, okay, you need a 6-foot fence because you want to make it so people can't easily hop over it. It really makes it feel like this enclosed space, and it kind of like takes away from the aesthetics of it. So, one, you're not going to stop people from using it that want to use it. And then 2, you're just kind of, really creating a kind of not a good feeling space. And so if you think about it, the other reason you would fence it is a safety issue, so that people, if it's at night and it's dark, someone isn't just going to walk out there and fall into the skate park or trip over something. And so then maybe you do a small fence. It's something that's 3-4 feet tall, so it's something that people can just kind of walk up and lean against and look in. But then they have to make a concerted effort to get over it. And so then by that way, it's not that they can just go into the skate park without knowing that they're in a skate park. They have to make an effort to go into the skate park. And if something happens, it's like, well, you kind of knew where you were going. So, but that is typically most skate parks are, you know, they're not fenced, they're open, unless there's a reason, you know, like they're next to a road or there needs to be a fence to separate them from some other activity, and things like that.
Okay. Have you had any discussion with the Recreation Commission, and have they responded to that question yet? Because I think the city, at least from my point, and I'm going to recommend to Charlie Jones that we get their input on that. I don't personally, I mean, everything I'm hearing makes sense to me, but I just don't know enough to really thoroughly answer that.
Yeah, just to jump in there, we have spoken. So the Recreation Committee has been a part of this project for X amount.
I personally haven't. I don't know if JD has.
Yeah, so I'm jumping in on that.
Oh, sorry. My screen, I don't know, my screen froze up there. I apologize. I don't know.
Yeah, JD's covering it.
Okay,
no
thanks.
worries. So we've spoken to the rec board since the inception of the idea of this project. Just to get a little backstory, I know we started in 2015, but I've been for a skate park originally in West Reading since 2012. So we've been to most rec boards in the county. So we've been to the rec board a few over the years with their new members. We've spoken to Daphne a lot of times about the project. The last time we spoke, which I believe was a year and a half ago, I could be wrong, but a year and a half ago seems about right. It was right before we got the grant from the Tony Hawk Foundation and the money from Band, which was right around a year and a half ago. She did bring up the question of a fence, and we kind of said the same thing. We're kind of like, she was like, you're going to have a concrete answer on what you want to do, but there wasn't any serious recommendation from the Recreation Committee at that time. So if something were to change on that end, we're willing to put a 3.5 foot, 4 foot fence up to designate, you know, this is the boundary line. But that's kind of where the conversation was left.
Okay. Okay. Just to cover a couple more of my notes in here, technical things. Nick, you mentioned about there being a consolidation plan. I could not find a consolidation plan. And I was going to recommend, it's not in my memo, but I was going to recommend that this plan be a consolidation plan. I'm seeing 44 lots. I don't see an annexation or a consolidation plan to connect.
So we went into our vault. SSM bought a lot of planes throughout the years.
Oh, I'm well familiar with your vault.
So we went into the vault and we have a hand-drawn plan showing the 44 lots. And then we found this plan where it was consolidated. And when I submitted our application, there was one reference plan. I don't know if you got the full electronic submission.
I did.
But part of that, and I think even the paper submission, we printed out the 45 lot hand-drawn plan, which was a really old plan that was basically falling apart that we scanned. And then on the backside of that plan, we also had the parcel that shows that it was consolidated. In all honesty, when we went to look on the recorder of deeds, it's still 44 lots. They are all in of the redevelopment authority, and I couldn't find the plan that consolidated them that was recorded, but I found the plan in the vault showing that it was laid out and where the information is. And for whatever reason on the GIS mapping for the county, it's consolidated. So I don't know if it was consolidated and the plan's not available online. I don't know if it's recorded at the courthouse, but we have record of all the 44 lots, and we have the plan showing it was consolidated, but I just don't know the exact deed book and page number of where that's recorded.
I had the same experience. I could not find it on the recorder of deeds, and that's a little problematic. Having it in the vault is one thing, but we may need to see something recorded, and it would be very easy to do it with this submission here. You could just add that in and make it happen. And piggybacking on that would be the 30-foot wide storm sewer easement. We want to make sure that that is also recorded because I couldn't find that as well. So
that's on that.
Yeah, it's on the same plan. Yeah, right.
It is,
so,
yeah.
So yeah, those are the two big technical items. There's some other items on there. You saw the things on the ADA ramps and the planning modules are not necessary because you meet existing prior planning. And then just one item on the stormwater management. I don't know if you caught that. I saw that you're meeting it for NPDS and for post-construction and all that. The city has its own stormwater management criteria as well in their ordinance. If you could just take those sections and demonstrate how your beds, your infiltration beds would meet that. And I think they would. I mean, we see these a lot. Under parking infiltration beds are very common. And that based on the size and the size of the development, it looks like you're probably going to meet that. But I'd like to see the calculations in your report. So if you can show that, we can demonstrate that that would meet those those 4 stormwater.
Are those acceptable just in the report, or do you need them on the plans?
In the report, if you can show in your report those calculations referencing those sections in Ordinance 505, that would be satisfactory.
Okay. I guess
anything more, Tim?
I'm looking. Again, the rest of it is notes and specific stuff that we can go over when we have our tech meeting.
Okay.
One of the questions that I just want to make sure that we're on the right track on was the bathroom. And initially, I had mixed feelings on the bathroom, but I think it's really something that will really help this park function. And I just want to make sure everyone's okay with the bathroom.
Yeah. I just wanted to jump off of Nick's statement. I think like one of the biggest things with bathrooms is the area where this park is located is on the River Trail, and there currently isn't any bathrooms available for Heritage Park or the River Trail. I just think it's an amenity that, if we can just add it in the skate park, it's going to benefit everyone in the area along with the boating launch that's down there. The other thing to think about too is like, when we have like events, if there's a skateboard contest, or there's also a growing number of people who are beginning to skateboard that are of all genders. So I think it's important to think that skateboarding isn't just a predominant male activity now, that you have women that are actually becoming more and more invested in skateboarding, actually buying more completes from skate shops to get into skating, and they're actually outpacing the men right now. So I just think it's a very valid point to just maybe think about going forward, that people need to use the bathroom. Not everyone can drive to a space or find a local spot to do it. And also to just you don't want to have people just using the surrounding area in the neighborhoods. So that's just something that came up on my end when we were proposing the park, that I brought to Nick and I brought to Micah. One of the other options that other skate parks do is they use porta potties. So until the bathrooms are installed in phase 2, one of the things we could do is add porta potties to the site that are pretty easily cleaned and pretty easily maintained until a structure's put up.
Mr. Chairman, I personally think go ahead. Go ahead, Will.
Okay, thank you. This is Will. Yes. On the bathroom, I had a couple of questions. One is, would there be some kind of discrete external light for the bathroom? And then when the Recreation Commission is consulted, I think it would be good to have their input as to whether or not they think the facility should be open overnight or not. So again, here the suggestion is made it's serving beyond, it's serving also Heritage Park. So I don't know what the pros and cons are, if the door could be locked automatically or how that works. I'll leave it to them to come up with the best recommendation. And just quickly, I'm glad the pump track was mentioned. We had seen that on the, I don't know if it was in the sketch that was in the paper or what. So I was wondering about that. So I'm glad that that was brought up too. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. And also just for the rest of the board, I just want to let you know too, I know we say skate park in the name, but this is actually a facility that'll be used by skateboarders, bikers, roller skaters, people on scooters. It's a multi-use facility. So it's not just accessible by one predominantly acceptable hobby.
To speak about the bathroom, it would have one exterior light. The light would be in between the bathroom and the park. It wouldn't be like a very bright light. It would just light up the two doors that would take you into the two different stalls. And then if there's regulations on locking the doors, we can figure out how you guys want to handle that, whether it be automatic or some other method.
I think once we install bathrooms, that is an issue we have to address because of safety concerns, and then just the issue with homelessness that we also have, and that would be maintenance as well. So yeah, that will have to be a discussion.
Sure.
All right. Anything else from any of the? Go ahead, Adam.
I was going to say, no, this is not a question for the Skate Park Association or Grind Line or for Nick. This would be a discussion amongst the city on what is the procedure moving forward with the redevelopment authority. Is this property transferred to the city? Does the redevelopment authority maintain control? And at what point, if it does transfer, does this need to be executed before we get the final?
All right, Nat, you can tweet some. Okay, back on.
Adam, I'll start answering. This is Jamal Abudalu. We did have a brief discussion with the redevelopment authority about this. I believe there should not be any back. And the redevelopment authority will dedicate this parcel to the city of Reading. My understanding that this project, when it's all completed, it will become a city park. So that's basically where, however, we have not really pursued this discussion any further than just, hey, how do you feel about that?
Okay, I'll just mark that for Bob. Thank you.
Okay. Last call for questions. Any questions or comments from either members of the Planning Commission, Jamal or Tim or Adam?
I have one question just for procedure on my end. So we had originally proposed to come in preliminary final. Tim, I think, is recommending we come in for preliminary, then we come back after we finish preliminary and go to final. Right now I have a sketch plan review, I believe, from Adam, and a sketch review from Public Works from Tim. I guess between now and the August meeting, my first question is, is there more review letters I'll be receiving, or is the intent that we'll have our meeting and kind of address the plans that way? I just, if we go to the preliminary and the final, and they're two separate phases, and that's the route, I just want to make sure I have the preliminary comments so I can make the updates to our plan so we can address them for preliminary when we come back.
Yeah, we will hold off on setting up a meeting. I mean, obviously there'll be Zoom calls and anything that you need between now and the preliminary, but we will hold off on a preliminary meeting until we get the results back from the county and from zoning and from fire, which should be coming here within the next 2 or 3 weeks. The county's the big one, and they usually are pretty quick. Once we get those letters back, you'll get a copy. And then Tim and I and you will sit down, we'll go over everything that we're concerned about. You'll then add all of that information into the plan, and then we'll move forward with a preliminary so that you're not being held up with any design information or practical information you need to complete your end.
Okay. That's the input I was looking for.
Nick, do you need a stormwater will serve letter for your NPDES permit? Does the DEP need any letter from the city?
For our infiltration bed, no.
Okay.
or storm?
Sometimes they do. So if you need it, just shoot me an email.
Okay, yep, we'll do.
Okay. We've heard a lot of the commentary from the presenters, and we've heard from the city staff. At this point in time, I would look for a motion to either approve or not approve the presentation tonight as a sketch plan submission to the Planning Commission.
Wayne, do you want to address this? I'm not exactly sure we have an approval. This is just a sketch plan.
Yeah, with the sketch
Okay,
plan,
thank you.
we don't need a motion.
Oh, okay, I'm so sorry. Thank you.
I think, Mr. Chairman, this is Will. You're just looking for consensus that we're treating it as a sketch plan, and that would be sufficient, I think. Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, then we will accept what you have presented to us. We have our marching orders. Tim and Adam will get in touch with Daphne and then also Charlie Jones, and we will schedule your preliminary review for the month of August, if that's if you can be ready for that.
I think we'll work out that with Adam.
Okay.
I mean, our goal, I mean, that would be great if we could get that, but we might not get our county later. So it may be the following month, but I mean, we'll work it out.
Yeah, well, I'm the eternal optimist, and if not, you've always got the month of September, so that's certainly worthwhile. But I think I think the project is significant enough. There's a lot of eyes on it. I think it needs to move forward, and you know what you have to do. So with that, we do not need to provide you with a formal motion as to our acceptance. We're going to work with you to get ready for the next phase, which will be preliminary plan review. So it'll either be in August, and if not, it'll be in September, and Adam is your key. So on behalf of the Planning Commission and the city, I want to thank you all very much for a tremendous amount of work. A lot of time, effort, and energy and sweat equity has gone into this. There's no two ways about it. And we want to wish you well. We want to wish you luck. We're here to help you. So with that, we will close this section on subdivisions and land development and then move into other business.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're quite welcome. Wayne, you're up next with Commission Liaison Report. Do you have anything for us, sir?
Yeah, actually I do, once I figure it out. Oh, here we go. Once I figure out where as many of you know, I closed down my business so that I can work on other things. And of course, one of those is catching up on Planning Commission stuff. And so Adam asked me to write down a few ideas for changing the saldo.
Here? No. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, there we go. Write down a few ideas about how we can change the saldo to improve things for the city and to address a number of issues that we've come across over the years, but we're not able to resolve because there's nothing in our saldo. So a few of the things that I have jotted down here is that we have no provision for traffic impact fees, which might be a problem with Alvernia. We have no provisions for laying out when a traffic study is required. Now I know that the city's working on a parking study in coordination with the park. Something in the Saldo concerning parking studies. Another thing I would like to see is that if a PennDOT highway occupancy permit is required, that would require a submission of a plan to the Planning Commission. And since we discussed it today, we can also update the ordinance to better reflect the dark sky initiative and anything that we might need to add for that. So I don't know if Adam has any comments off the top of his head concerning that.
Those are some of my biggest hits. You know, obviously the requirement at what point does a project trigger a traffic study. Obviously parking is always going to be an issue, so if we get a sizable project downtown, there should be a study addressing that. I mean, I have my own list of, you know, looking both at the A.W. Golden site with Alan Schuman, and then with this site here with the Madison building. There should be something, especially in a city that's built out and transitioning, that triggers a review for a significant change of use. Here we have a situation where we are going from a former commercial site to a residential apartment complex. There should be something there that Planning Commission is allowed to come in and make some suggestions and recommendations. Also clarity on just defining when a saldo is triggered. I mean, we do have a couple of revisions and changes regarding square footages and some other issues, but I think that needs to be clarified and codified within our saldo. And right now, I'm looking at Lancaster, and their saldo is fairly well written, and I think we could go even farther in being clear on exactly what we're doing and when we're doing it on projects in the city. So it's something I'd like to emulate, and if not supersede, make it better than what the Lancaster has out there. But yes, I will add these to my list. I know fire has suggestions, and I know the county has a laundry list as well. So I think there's going to be a sizable list that we can tackle once we get all of the pieces put together.
Yeah, well, Wayne, I certainly agree. Go ahead, Wayne.
No, it was actually Tim. I was going to chime in.
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, Wayne, I second that, what you're talking about with impact studies. Normally, we don't see a need for that in a lot of it because we're redeveloping existing properties, and the traffic was there and it's going to continue. However, we're seeing a lot of changes here with the Madison, with Alvernia, with a lot of new properties coming in, and we know that the parking is a big issue. And I think, especially in the downtown, I think what you're saying and you're proposing here with impact studies is very useful, especially in this kind of a situation. So I support your effort there.
And I do too, because I have always been uncomfortable with the lack of clarity of answers to the questions that we raised at the time when the president of Alvernia was in to show us what he was going to be doing with the old CNA building. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of students that are coming in and out from the main campus to here. And the building's going to be open, 24/7 because of, I believe, student housing on 1 or 2 floors. And there will be evening classes, let's not kid ourselves. So that impact is really, has to be quantified. We need, to the best of one's ability, to tell us and explain to us what the impact on our infrastructure is going to be, and the traffic, both vehicular and pedestrian, is going to be like when they are filled, when they are built out. And this is starting to become very serious. And I think if there is an organization, whether it's the Urban Land Institute or other organizations, NGOs, other municipalities that have struggled with this, I think we should capitalize on our relationships with them and ask them to share with us, how did you solve that problem? I mean, how is Phoenix still being able to do so well? How is Lancaster being able to do so well? ABE, look at the Allentown Bethlehem, look at the influx of new construction, residential, 24/7 occupancies. And I haven't seen many new garages go up in Allentown. So they are subscribing to some mixed use, including parking in the process. So we need to take advantage of our regional neighbors to help us figure out what we do, because we're really going to be impacted. Alvernia, the Madison, there are other projects that are looming downtown, and the good news is they're looming downtown. The bad news is they're looming downtown, and we have to be prepared. And we're the gatekeeper of how this happens. So I support your thinking, Wayne, 100%. And maybe that Adam and Tim, maybe that becomes a subject of a strategic planning session to talk about it with the right people at the table, and maybe some guests to come and give us this is what we did kind of thing. I don't think it should be an all hands evolution. I think it should be select people to help us make those decisions.
Mr. Chairman, this is Will. I think this is a great initiative. Just very briefly, I have a few off the top of my head too. I don't think we have any provision in Saldo specifically for consolidation or annexation of parcels. Just for consistency, I think we should have that. I think we handle everything as a subdivision or something. So the other ones we've talked about, I've been advocating for the last couple of years, is to update the allowance for plan scale, sheet size, and the datum. I think some language is already worked on for those, so they could just be amendments. I think Public Works had given input on that, so those, yes. So we have something we don't have to reinvent the wheel on. And then one other thing that had come up was maybe it does not have to be full-scale land development, but it should be a provision that any development on city property should at least be reviewed by the commission for its input.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if I could add,
so good thinking, Wayne. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I could add to what Will is saying there too, if we could add something for digitally submitted plans, because we're seeing digital submissions, and I am, I'm very positive on that. In fact, I prefer digital over paper. There are sometimes when they're really big plans that it's nice to have a paper, but for most of the plans we see, the digital submission, I think works best. But we don't address it in the Saldo.
Come on, we're going to get rid of Mylar?
You got it. Not with PennDOT, but certainly with Reading.
Yeah, there's also a question as I think the Saldo now requires 12 paper copy submissions. I don't think we need that many, so that's something.
No.
Well, gentlemen, we have to bring ourselves into the 21st century. We can't, obviously it's time to take that box of codes and ordinances and laws and turn it upside down, shake it out, and just take the best and use it as a framework and start over. We're dealing with a whole new economy, a whole new way of doing things professionally, and why don't we capitalize on the technology that's at our command? Anything else, Mr. Liaison?
No, that is it for me today. There's a few things that Adam and I will be working on. I submitted an email to him that we need to follow up on because I had a discussion with Frank Dembowski earlier today about parking, and he brought up something. So we need to do a little bit more research into this, and then Adam and I will present it to the entire board. We should be doing that next month. It's has something to do with Parks and Rec.
That's great. That's great. Okay. All right. Under Blighted Property Review Committee, the third Thursday of June last month, we had a certification hearing. We reviewed over 20 properties. There were 2 or 3 property owners who were there. I don't think we tabled any properties. I think just one of them was tabled, but all the rest were certified. No, I beg your pardon, excuse me, determined. And in September is when we're going to have the next hearing for blighted property, and that will be the certification hearing. So that's all I have to report on that. Under other business, Adam, I'll look to you for open discussion at the discretion of the board. You have Planning Commission future cases, Buttonwood Gateway West, and then some others to be determined. So did you want to talk specifically about Buttonwood Gateway West?
Let's start off with that one. And then the other 3 are just basically an update on what's coming. I'll take care of 2 of those right away, simply so we just clear the agenda. Reading Soda Works should be in for a sketch plan hopefully next month. I did get an email from Phil Rabina of the Zoning Hearing Board as a reminder that they're still interested in the dedication of the Castlewood King and Queen Road up there. So that's something that's going to be on our agenda here in the near future. There's no definite time, as they understand that we're still under COVID rules. Buttonwood Gateway West is looking for a conditioned final. I am going to turn this over to Tim, who can give us basically a 20,000 foot view of what's going on with the environmental studies and how we may want to proceed here in the near future. And then we'll close up with the last one, which may result in a waiver for a project. So Tim, if you can.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, there's been some email exchanges, and we've actually received a submission of a plan within the last couple of weeks here from Ledgate. And I have also been able to acquire the DEP approved remedial plan and cleanup plan for the site, which is over 800 pages. We couldn't even email it. I had to go and pick it up on a thumb drive, and it's now on the city shared. I think, Adam, we got it on the shared site, right? Under Planning Commission. Well, that's for folks in City Hall that can see that. But if you're interested in it, I can send it to you on a thumb drive. If you want to come by, I can give it to you. But
I should be able to move that into the Planning Commission side of it so that they can review it.
So they can see it, yeah.
If they have any trouble sleeping at all.
Right. It's mostly testing results. The main body, the narrative, is much smaller than that. It's a few dozen pages, but it's significant. This is a seriously impacted site from the history. It had some pretty heavy industries on this site. And there's some serious contamination, particularly PCBs and VOCs, volatile organic compounds, and that needs to be remediated. And the land development plan plays a role in this. And this is what my exchange with Ledgate has been, is that the plan right now doesn't really acknowledge or coordinate with the cleanup plan. The cleanup plan says that the land development plan needs to be built to create a cap on the site. That's part of the cleanup. That's part of the remediation. And right now, it doesn't really acknowledge that. And I think it should, and there should be something in there that ties the two together and commits the developer to install what's on the land development plan as a cap in the sequence and the schedule that it should be to be satisfied. So I have a question out there right now to the person, to Liberty, who put together the plan. What does the city need to do with respect to this, or is the DEP going to oversee this? The EPA is also involved with the PCB cleanup. The EPA is also going to be monitoring that cleanup, but I'm not sure the extent of it. So there's still some unanswered questions that we need to get answered before I feel comfortable with giving my blessing on the final plan.
Jim, is there anything that remotely resembles a cost estimate to what this is going to cost the developer?
I haven't seen anything, especially with the environmental cleanup. I haven't seen the estimate for the required improvements. And that's another question I have is normally we don't require the building pads and the parking pavement, the private parking pavement, to be listed on the escrow for the, the engineer's estimate for the escrow account for the developer's improvement agreement. However, if it's part of a cap and it needs to be installed to protect the health and welfare of the public, maybe this is a reason to include that on the estimate. But to answer your question, I have not seen a cost estimate for the development improvements or the environmental cleanup.
Because I am sure that the developer, and this is what, Delaware Valley Developers?
Right.
I'm sure that they have invested quite a bit of money up to date, up front so far.
Right.
And there's got to be a point where the juice ain't worth the squeeze. And I would be very curious to know what that cost is, just out of curiosity more than anything else, and how they choose to proceed.
Well, Glenn Worgan has been sending emails, and he's very anxious to get a conditional final plan approval. So we know he's still full steam ahead on it.
Yeah. When we say conditional approval, what's it conditioned upon?
Good question. It wouldn't be the NPDS permit, the ENS. We have to see that.
Because I think I would ask Glenn to say, well, what's the alternate if you choose not to develop that one piece? Because I'm sure the area has been defined on the Ludgate documents as to within the whole site. There's a certain area that is in question, and maybe he has to redo his site plan and his unit count because he may not be able to build on it because he may not be able to afford it. But that's his decision, not ours. But I would be curious to know what is the condition he's asking us to put on his approval. I would really like to know.
I don't know, but I don't know the answer.
I think we need to know. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know the answer, but to your first comment about there's a certain area within the site that would be conditioned to this environmental, that is correct, and you can see that on the remediation plan, but it's not depicted on the land development plan, and that's one of my concerns is that I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing what the stormwater management ordinance considers the hot spot. It's an environmentally sensitive area, and it's right in the middle of there where that group of units are. But there's other units in other areas that I don't think are impacted by this environmental cleanup.
I don't think so either. I think it's almost like a half a block or something.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know.
Correct.
Okay. So will we be expecting Delaware Valley Developers at our next meeting? Is that what you think will happen?
It seemed to me that that's what Glenn Worgan was wanting.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, we'll just wait and see. So the study has been done. It has gone through the DER, EPA, all the other alphabet soup reviews, and so now he just has to find out what the cost is to render it benign.
Yeah, he's actually started it. There are monitoring wells, and I think he's actually got remediation wells. I can see
Wow.
the pipe sticking up out there. So he's pulling groundwater. I don't know if he's actively remediating it or if he's just monitoring it right now, but he's already started the remediation plan.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll just have to take a wait and see attitude and see what he comes to us with when he gets here.
Right.
Okay. Anything else, Tim?
That's all for me.
Okay, sir. Adam, what do you have left for us, sir?
The last one here, if you can, unfortunately, you can't see it on your screen, but about a week ago, I was contacted by Aero Consulting regarding a project that they're going to be putting in over at the Joint Municipal Authority over there on Old Wyomissing Road. And they have a plan to put in a 20 by 30 chemical storage building out there along the front of the property. And they wanted to know exactly what the Planning Commission would require. Right now, everything that they have submitted indicates that it's below the mandatory minimum of 800 square feet, and it fits pretty much all other requirements for a waiver. The one being it's visible from the road, but then so are all the other sheds. So, and it's not a highly trafficked road. I mean, the only people going back there are either going to the facility, to Matos, or to the lumber yard. So it's not a residential street. So the recommendation would be from planning, and I know I'm not going to speak for Tim, but I've already heard that we're recommending waiver. The question is, do you want to hear from Aero, or do you just want to go ahead and grant the waiver either tonight or in the near future?
Okay. What's the feeling of the members of the commission? How do you feel?
Well, I don't think we have Commissioner Raffaelli, who lives in that neighborhood, on with us yet. So, I mean, usually we have people come before us and we ask a few questions. I'm fine with doing it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, usually.
Well, I certainly think it's within our purview to ask them to come before us and show us what's going on, what it looks like, where it's located, and we can ask questions then. Adam, are they in a rush to get this thing going?
I don't think they're in a massive rush. I told him that most likely they would have to come in and present for a request for the waiver, so they know that that's coming.
Okay.
Adam, can you show what that storage tank looks like? We're seeing the big drawing. Can you zoom in on it? There was another drawing that showed it. It's a very small tank.
This is the only plan I have. So if they got another,
really?
Yeah.
Can you blow it up? It's out there. It's out front. I think it's only about 500 square feet.
It's not
very
yeah,
big.
it's 20 by 30. It's, I don't know if you see me. I'm circling.
There
here.
it is. Right. Yeah, right there. The dark square right there, just off of Old Wyomissing Road. That's all we're talking about. Yeah, I considered that, below the de minimis, that would not trigger anything. I don't think Public Works would consider that something that small a regulated activity. But that's just Public Works opinion.
And I think there is a house on the corner right before the. If I'm in the right place, because I don't see the plan, but looking at the map, I'm thinking there's that one house on the corner before the railroad bridge.
Let's see here.
I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but.
Oh, as of this point, I'll just tell Aero that they need to come in next month and present.
Yeah, just so we're.
I think that's the safest way. I think we owe that to the neighborhood to review it and pass judgment on it rather than just give them the waiver outright. I think if they're not in any particular rush, I think 30 days from now we could certainly take a look at it and then we'll be in a better position and have a higher level of comfort that it's not objectionable and it meets all the requirements. So I would be in favor of that.
And Will is correct. There's a house at the corner. I'm showing it on the
Okay.
screen now.
Okay, all right.
And then that would conclude any upcoming future reports. Obviously, as more submissions come in, and we are expecting some more, I will keep the Planning Commission up to date on what's happening. And then, as we said earlier, Tim and I will meet with Nick over at SSM regarding the skate park as soon as those outstanding reports come in, and try to get that moving forward as quickly as possible.
All right. All right, gentlemen, it's 9 p.m. This took a little bit longer than we thought. I thank you all very much for your time, effort, and energy. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Bob Conklin, motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? Lee Olson seconds. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And the recorder.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Before you log off, could you possibly send me a sheet with everyone's name, or can I ask you for last names now?
As best as possible. Sure. Go ahead.
Do you happen to know Joan's name? I thought she said London, but
London, like the city.
Right. Okay. And do you happen to know Allison, the one woman she had with her? Do you know her last name?
No, but I tell you what, if you email me a list, I will talk to Lee, as he knows all the players on that side of the operation.
Okay. And just can I have sorry, I don't know your last name, but Will? Can I have your last name, sir?
Yes, it is C-I-N as in Nancy, F as in Frank, I-C-I.
All right, thank you. And there was an Anthony.
Again, I think that was from the Madison project. I'd have to get that from.
Okay, I will email you then the thing. Can I just have your email really quick to make sure that I know I have it correctly?
Sure. ADAM.Thomas, Thomas, at readingpa.gov.
Thank you, sir.
Not a problem. As soon as I get that list, I'll talk to Lee and then get those names back to you.
All right, I really appreciate it.
Adam,
Yes.
I couldn't see, of course, anything. Did they give you the skateboard plan? If you have it, if you would email that to me, please.
Sure.
I should say skateboard because they put it out. It was more than that. Yeah.
I will send that to you. I'm almost certain I sent it earlier today, but if not, I will send it again.
I didn't see. I got the pudding review, but I didn't see any sketch of anything.
Okay. I'll send that to you now.
Yeah, thank you.
So maybe,
and I can't access the S thing to save my life. So, Adam, did you find anything out on the 900 block of Penn Street, the redevelopment site that was proposed for which had been the pump track, which was proposed for the fire station, where I'm seeing parking on it all the time now?
No, but I will check into that. I've pulled the ownership information because Jamal was asking about that for a few weeks ago, but no, I will check in to find out who's parking there.
Yeah, I don't know what they got approval of the redevelopment or what was going on. I didn't want to hold us up during the meeting. It was long enough, but yeah, thank you. Okay. Okay, well, have a safe trip home, Adam.
My commute's literally downstairs.
Oh, that's right. You're not at the. Well, have a safe trip down the stairs. All right.
Jamal, thank you very much for hosting.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.